What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Watch Before You Die podcast. I'm Ben. This is Brian,
What's
and
up?
we are doing something a little different today. We are going to hit you with a different style of video, something we want to do a little bit fun, hopefully, and you can join in the comments. And so first, I'm going to start off with a blind ranking movie list for Brian. So if you don't know how this works, if you've never seen this before, there are 5 slots, 1 through 5. I'm going to hit Brian with random movies. He has no clue what's coming next, and he has to blindly rank them, and then we'll see what his list is at the end, whether good or bad. So for our first ever attempt at this, we are going to be, or Brian is going to be, blindly ranking Disney movies.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So I wanted to keep it simple. Most people know Disney movies. Most
Yep.
people have opinions on Disney movies.
Okay.
So the first Disney movie is Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast is my wife's favorite movie.
Okay.
I like it a lot. Really good movie.
Okay.
Probably not my favorite, but it's probably pretty near the top. I'm going to say 3. Let's put it at 3.
3. It's always safe to hedge your bets right on 3, right at the beginning, because you just don't know what's coming.
And there's some good Disney ones out there.
There's some really good Disney movies. So the second movie in the list is Snow White.
Snow White I don't like as much. It is my daughter's favorite, or at least one of her favorites.
We're hitting favorites.
You're hitting the
tonight.
favorites of the fam. I'm going to have to go lower with this one, though. I'm going to say 4.
4. Okay. The next up on the list, of course, I think it kind of has to be in here, Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid, okay.
Just got to, and this is not the remake. This is the originals.
The original.
For anybody who might want to argue that.
I'm going to put it above Beauty and the Beast. That's probably not accurate for my
Okay.
list, but I'll put it number 2.
All right, so you've got, just to clarify, he's got Little Mermaid at number 2, Beauty and the Beast at 3, Snow White at 4, which leaves slot 1.
1 and 5.
Slot 5. Dangerous game to play.
Tough one.
So,
We're min-maxing it.
yeah, we are. The next movie on the list is Treasure Planet.
Dude, I liked Treasure Planet when it came out. I thought that I was the dude from Treasure Planet.
100%. We all did, yep.
But I have to admit that I don't think it's going to hold up. I don't know what the last movie is. It's a gamble here, but I'm going to put this one
Okay.
at 5, and I'm going to see what defaults to
Wow.
number 1.
Okay. Treasure Planet is going in number 5.
Number 5.
And the final movie on the list is Mulan.
Yeah.
So that goes into your number 1.
Okay,
How do you feel about that list? So Mulan number 1.
I wouldn't
Little
change too
Mermaid
much. Yep.
Okay. Beauty and the Beast 3, Snow White 4, Treasure Planet 5.
I didn't do too bad. I will say the Mulan soundtrack, the music in Mulan is top tier.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Okay.
can't be beat. So
Yeah.
I would not move those too much. So I'm actually pretty
Okay.
happy with where we landed. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't like your list at all, but this is why I'm not. That's your opinion. You know, you did the blind. I mean, it's very hard to do a blind ranking.
It's tough.
I think I've talked about it somewhere at some point on the internet that I just don't like Mulan. I don't like the concept of the movie. It even when I was a kid, I remember it just gave me anxiety because, like, what if they find out she's a girl? You know,
Right,
kind of a whole thing.
right.
I don't know. Something about the movie just never sat right with me. I'd probably go like Beauty and the Beast number 1. I've always loved that film. I like the remake as well. I thought it was really good, the live action. Probably Treasure Planet 2, Little Mermaid 3. Probably Mulan 4 and then Snow White 5. I just don't
Okay.
think Snow White doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a really strange tale of strangeness.
It's
you know?
definitely
I
an
don't know.
interesting one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Iconic.
Okay. That is our first ever blind ranking. In the comments, just rip him apart if you disagree.
Yep.
If you think Brian did a bad job, you know, but I think that's a decent list considering what it could have been.
Yeah.
Like you could have gotten like, I don't know, like Bolt or something. Isn't that a Disney movie? You could have got, there's some rough animated Disney movies out there. That,
Yeah,
like,
depending on how true to like the classics you went, I was worried that my
Yeah.
number 1 was going to default to just, some
Yeah.
random outlier or something like that.
I thought it might pop up Lion King, but it didn't. So you got lucky on that one.
Got lucky.
Mulan's still a decent one. The next thing that we're gonna do. We're gonna have a little discussion. This could go one way or the other. This could go really good or like just be really boring content. So, just fair warning to anybody listening. This is our first time ever doing this, but I thought that I would do a little research and find some of the most controversial or worst movie takes out there. Now, obviously, controversial could be any number of things. It could be like, I saw a lot of like out there, like Stanley Kubrick's not a very good director, like stuff like that. Like that's controversial. But then there's the bad side of things, and bad is just subjective. Like, you know, a bad movie is subjective. You could walk into a movie, love it, and your friend hate it. So we'll get a little bit of both. I'm going to try to start us off with a heater tonight.
Okay.
This comes from Reddit, and it's actually a recent one, 4 months ago. I'm not going to give the username. It doesn't matter. Here is the take. Star Wars is a bad franchise. Most of the movies are not good.
Okay.
And just a reminder, this is not my Reddit. I'm just reading okay? Don't come for me.
This is your ghost account at least.
Yeah, my ghost account. Okay, so most of the movies are not good, and the original trilogy looks cheap and does practically nothing especially well. Some of the effects look somewhat cool, but they also looked cool on 2001, a decade earlier, and some of the effects look straight up bad. The story isn't all that interesting either. So I think in that reference he made something about the effects looking cool. I think he's talking about the newer films. The effects they look okay because he made some reference to like a decade earlier, 2001. So I'm assuming he's talking about, for the effects being average, the newer movies. But he hits it all. He says it's a bad franchise. He says the original trilogy's cheap, he or she. He says the new movies, the effects aren't even that good, and the story is not interesting. So
wow.
What do you think? I mean, I think we've both watched Star Wars, all of them.
Yep.
I think I've heard some of your opinions on Star Wars, so I thought this might be a good starting point for us.
Those are definitely some hot takes, I'll say. I mean,
okay.
I won't go as far as to say that the Star Wars movies are bad movies, but I will also preface by saying I am not a Star Wars apologist. Like, there are some people out there that like that's their favorite series and don't come at them, and they can do no wrong and all that kind of stuff. And the mistakes are actually canon that was brilliantly included in the movies so that it could throw you off the scent of, you know, something else. For me, I think they were good movies. I think the story is good. I don't think that that's a fair shot. And I also think, you know, this coming from the guy who attacks some of the old movies that we have watched for looking bad or feeling cheap or feeling poor or whatever, I think they were light years ahead of their time, and some of the stuff that they did, like the fact that they rotoscoped the lightsabers in the first battles and stuff, and like literally frame by frame were drawing in like where the lightsabers should be, tells you that they were, you know, kind of on the bleeding edge of technology. I will say, because Star Wars isn't my favorite franchise, I'm less likely to like stand in the gap for some of its mistakes, some of like the overacting by Mark Hamill, you know, as Luke Skywalker. He's not like my favorite actor or whatever. But to say it's a bad movie, I think that that's a poor take. I think they're good movies. I think they hold up at least a little bit to some scrutiny.
Yeah, I mean, like, I somewhat agree with him. I think it has kind of, I think the only thing I would agree with is it has kind of turned into a bad franchise, like overall, like if you take in, but I think that could be argued with anything that's like, would be considered overrated anymore. Like, I'm a big, if you know me, I'm a big like comic book guy, Marvel guy, DC guy, but like I would argue like the Marvel Cinematic Universe has kind of turned into like a bad franchise at this point. And I say that because you can't hop in anymore. You can't just like casually enjoy something. Even like the new Star Wars movies, you couldn't really jump in. Like if somebody who's never seen a Star Wars movie and they're like, I'm going to go watch. And obviously it's like, it literally is episode like 7 or whatever. So it's like, you know, you're on the 7th episode, but like for like a casual moviegoer, you want to be able to like go to any movie and enjoy it. And you just can't with Star Wars. Like you have to have so much background understanding and knowledge. So like I think it has kind of turned into a bad franchise. Hot take. This also is, again, not my Reddit. I think they're good movies, though. In fact,
Yeah.
I think like I just recently saw like Star Wars episode like 3 on like it was like airing on like a television like TV like just a random channel, and I'm like, this is actually pretty good. Like, and I was pretty critical of like episode 2 and 3 when they came out because I saw them in theaters and like, some of the acting was poor and you just didn't age well, but like it was a good film overall. So I think this Reddit user is a little maybe just has a bone to pick with Star Wars in general. He's probably like a diehard fan, if we're honest, and loves Star Wars and just doesn't like the direction it's gone like the last 3 movies and then like the TV shows they've added and stuff. But I also think like outside of maybe the second in the new trilogy, which I don't remember that well, I thought like the effects were really cool in the new movies, and I thought like the worlds they visited were dope, like that freaking water world where they fought, and like it's some pretty cool stuff. So I'm not sure on this take. I'm a little lukewarm on the Reddit user.
I will say, and I think I might have even said this before on an episode, but it's really hard for something that somebody laudits as being the best of something to be underrated. It can only be overrated. If you think it's the best of the best, there's nowhere to go down, right? So if I told you like the best music today is Taylor Swift or whatever, somebody's like a huge fan of Taylor Swift, that's the best. You can't say that Taylor Swift is underrated because people largely think that she's the best, right?
Correct.
And Star Wars is just one of those movies like Lord of the Rings, like Harry Potter. It sits on a platform that is, these are the best movies. Don't come for them. Don't touch them. They're at the top. So they can be nothing but overrated. And so for the people who aren't as in love, who aren't as big a fan, it's easy to kind of see the holes in the armor where you're like, well, I mean, this scene wasn't necessary and this really drags. And some of the puppeteering of the early Yoda, like they were doing the best that they could. But I mean, you can still tell that Yoda is a puppet, and like the line work and the reads and everything. I mean, it's just, you can pick on anything. I don't think you can be like, hey, hot take, I think Star Wars is good. Like everybody thinks that, so you can only tear down.
Then you can only go backwards with
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, that's our first deep dive into controversial / bad movie takes. Let us know what your thoughts on Star Wars are. I do think we're entering into like a world where like when we were growing up, like Star Wars was everything. Like it was a huge deal. And you had those few like Star Trek fans, but I think largely we've entered into a world where Star Wars is not as appreciated due to like its commercial success and like just the fact that everybody knows the famous tagline. So let us know what you think about Star Wars. Let us know if it is indeed a bad franchise and the effects are terrible, or if you enjoy it and you disagree vehemently with this Reddit user. And we will see you on our next full-length episode, maybe, or maybe another one of these if you enjoyed it. So hit the like button, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.